Hello, I'm going to go live. I am live. I'm going to begin in about 4 minutes on the nose, 3 o'clock Pacific time. Just checking in to check my audio. It looks like it's going. Hopefully the live chat stream works here on YouTube today. I am here just doing a sound check, broadcasting live from Waterfront Studios, Art with Lórien, in the studio, my live 3 p.m. Pacific time live art gatherings. And I'm about 3 minutes out, so I just wanted to check in. I'm going to stay on the line. And I'll also be broadcasting live. I started a couple of weeks ago on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is @Lórien Eck. I'll put it in the chat. And if you ever are over there, or you want to follow me there or share this with anybody. So here, that's the handle over on Instagram. And I'm going to go live there in a couple minutes. So if anyone is here, I'm not sure. I think there's one person, I'm not sure. You could just give me a thumbs up or wave and tell me hi, or tell me, yes, the audio is great. You can hear me loud and clear. I can, let's see here, 1 second. So I'm just gonna stand by. Yay! Okay, so I know that I have a couple of, one of my friends will be over on YouTube or Instagram, and it's gonna go on there. About 2:58 now here in Los Angeles, California. I think my sound audio is pretty good. Just gonna go ahead and start up that live feed, checking the connections. I'm gonna bring this up. Hello, welcome to Art with Lórien Live. We're about a minute out from my broadcasts that are scheduled start time of 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'm here in beautiful San Pedro, California. So nice to have you here. I see a couple of my lovely artist friends showing up. Hey! And a family member down in Australia. I have a friend joining from Laguna Niguel, California. And so hello and good morning. It's morning in Australia. So we're about 1 minute away from 3 o'clock. Good morning, good morning. And it's afternoon here. It's 3 p.m. Pacific time, Wednesday, April 22nd, and happy Earth Day, everyone. And so I am dedicating this particular broadcast, and specifically, yay, hearts to you. This broadcast today and this live stream to planet Earth, to Mother Earth, and may we celebrate Earth Day every day and do all the things that we know takes care of our Mother Earth. And so whatever those things are for you, I know there's several things that we are doing right now by staying at home. We are lowering the overall global carbon footprint by staying at home and not driving vehicles. And we have seen that in many places around the world where the pollution is less, the skies are blue, and the animals the wildlife's coming into the urban settings. So happy Earth Day, everyone. It's 50 years that Earth Day has been celebrated around the world, started in 1970. So this broadcast of mine, I believe this is number 5, is dedicated to Mother Earth, to planet Earth. So welcome. And if you have been following me, or if not, this is my In the Studio series, and I decided I've been running this series for a while on YouTube, and just started up live about a month ago. And I decided to go live on Instagram and stream there as well. And the focus has been from the beginning for these In the Studios to be working on a current project, which is one of my wild nature inspired projects of a tropical scene, Hawai'i tea leaf. and also working on my butterfly series of smaller pieces that are studies. And they're mixed media. I do have one behind me here. I'll bring it off the wall. I have been working on it. You've seen me. If you've joined in, or if not, you can look at the replays. I think it's basically back to day one with these lives. And so I've created this mixed media monarch butterfly, and this is on a 16 by 16 inch square gallery wrap canvas. It is mixed media. It has several elements of materials. I've got pigment powders. Yay! Hi, Nick. I haven't met you yet, but hello. I've got pigment powders, acrylic paint, acrylic gouache, actually. The background has ink, water-based ink, and it also has liquid acrylics. I have permanent markers, paint markers. I have all sorts of things in here. That's about 4 or 5 different materials I've used for this mixed media painting. And I also use, very commonly, I use liquid mediums. So I use matte mediums, high gloss varnish mediums. And so that's where this painting's at now. This painting, I worked on it a little bit last night to get it ready. I've put some colors in here. I've put some more of the beautiful oranges that contrast so nicely with this turquoise mixed media, this background here. And it's, in a way, it's to simulate the ocean. And it's one of my favorite places on the earth to be near. I can see it from my house. I'm so lucky. So I'm so grateful for that today, that I can see the ocean from my home, really the veranda, the patio, the lanai. And so every day is the first thing I do in the morning is I go and I thank the ocean for being there, because it brings me so much solace and peace and comfort. So just, I'd like you to think about what element of nature, Mother Earth in you. Just take a moment, take a deep breath, and just appreciate right now on this Earth Day. And I know that it's, like I said before, Earth Day is every day. And if we can continue to just really remember and honor Mother Earth, however we choose, whatever works, whatever is in our consciousness and our daily routines. And so that's what I have. Whoops, I'm just going to put this back up here. And I don't think it's going to be level. Okay, so that's what I have been working on. So you can always go back and look at the replays. And then what I'm going to be working on now is this new painting. And last in the studio live here, either on Insta or on YouTube, I put the background on, as you know, from the last one. So I put this background in and I did a live demonstration. And so if you can go back and refer to that, you can see the step-by-step. And the next step, and what I'm going to focus on today, what my creative process next step is I've gone ahead and drawn in, this is going to be a side view butterfly. It's also going to be like a monarch style butterfly, a monarch variety in the butterfly species. It's going to be another one with a little bit different colors, but I'm going to do a side view. So what I like to do is, because I put the background in first and the background is dark, I use a white Stabilo pencil, and on my YouTube channel, I do list all of the supplies that I use in my art making process in my studio. I list them for your convenience. And I like to get a lot of my things from Jerry's Art Supply, but any online art company that provides, and you can get what you need through the mail right now on the internet, is really the best way to go. So I use a Stabilo white pencil, and you can see it's super small. I sharpen it a lot. I use just an old school hand sharpener, and I use this instead of graphite or instead of lead, because I need to be able to see that white line and the delineation of where my colors are going to go. So that's what I put down a little bit I have some more details to include here. I have more details to draw in, little different parts of the wing. And the way that I erase or get rid of these lines is I use water. I use, just like, I always have a water container nearby when I'm painting, of course, and I use water and my finger or a tissue just to go over the lines that I would, with a pencil erase. And the water takes the white pencil right off of that, the surface of the canvas. So that's what I do. Right after I have that background in and I dry it, is I, decide on what my source image is going to be. And I'll show you what I am using. I'm using a book, same book as I used before. It's a whole book on butterflies. And it is a great book. My parents gave it to me. And, we have 2 copies, and so they have one, I have one. So yeah, I'm using this book. It's a really lovely book of source images to go through and find the different butterflies that I want to be working with here. And because, as you know, butterflies are hard to catch, I'm not going to catch one. I don't want one pinned on anything. I'm just going to use pictures, and that's good enough for me for this. So I'm using a combination of, here is the drawing that inspired this drawing on my canvas. As you can see, it's a profile view. It's a profile view of a butterfly where the butterfly is like landed on a flower or on the flora or a leaf. And so I'm going to put that into this particular painting. And then the colors, though, are not going to be these colors. I mean, these are nice, but I'm going with more of the oranges and the contrasting colors to my green. So I just want to say hi to my YouTube viewer, Christina of My Present Heart. Hello. My live chat's working again. I'm so glad. And so I'm going to be using these colors here, like these colors here. And that's what I'm going to do. And, I'm going to use this as, this source image is a starting point for me. I may change the colors. This white here, I may change it to some different oranges. I'm not going to be necessarily painting this painting like a photograph. Thank you. I'm going to be painting it more using my imagination, using the source image to get me started, and then to branch off from there. And so I'm going to hold up again where I'm at. So you see I have this background that I put in last week and on this live broadcast, right? And then I drew in with a white Stabilo the outline of the butterfly. Now I'm going to start to draw a little bit more, actually, and put a little bit more of those lines in. So I'm going to do that. And the lines are kind of like the different veins of colors of where the color kind of makes a shift. And these are more details in the butterfly. I'm actually going to go back to the one that I drew. Sorry, I'm reaching a lot. But I would like to know what you're working on. So if you have any creative projects, while I organize myself, do you have any creative projects that you're working on? Whether it's something you're cooking, something that, like a piece of jewelry, a painting, a drawing, a sculpture, ceramics. I know that Christina, who's joined us over on YouTube, she was painting a table last time I saw her. So she was personalizing and making the table her own. And this is my recyclable straw. I've used it for a very long time. I just wash it really well. I'll have it forever. That's not even funny though. But anyway, yeah. So Christina was working on a table and she showed that to me. And so I'm just curious what you're working on, and feel free to write in the chat or on Instagram. I know you can join the broadcast, and that you can too. Hi. All right, so tell me what you're making if you feel like it. I'd love to know. I'm also drinking some tea today, and this is a really nice white tea with berries. I drank the same tea last week. I put the name of the tea in the comments to that video. So it's a little hot right now, but I encourage you to have a cup of tea, make a cup of tea, or coffee if you're down under in Australia, where some of my family is, over on Instagram. And just, join me. I'll be live with you here probably for another about 40 minutes. And I'd love to. And if you catch the replay, you can always just make your warm beverage, and bring out your supplies or whatever you're working on: painting, jewelry, drawing, ceramics, filmmaking, pastels, visual art. Journaling is one of the things I love and I teach. Some of the classes that we're getting into landscapes. Nick's project for art is being worked on lately. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm working on some of the things behind me. I teach in online classes for kids. I'm having so much fun with them. And I love hearing about Nick in Australia's project. He's working on landscapes. That's so awesome. I love that. I'd love to hear more about that. I'd like to know, are they watercolors? Are they plein air? Are you actually getting outside and working on them live? Are they acrylic? Are they gouache? I love that. We can talk more about that. We can pick up there. And I love that you're making coffee and you're hanging out. This is so great. Isn't this awesome? So this is really why I wanted to do these live streams, because I want to be able to interact and have community and share together, since we're all at home, staying at home and together at home right now for an determined amount of time, right? That's the big question mark, is how long will we be sort of restricted to a few. I think this is the middle ground. This is about 20 colors. It comes with 2 really nice tubes of white. And it comes in this really cool little organizational case. So I'm really happy about this. It also comes with a brush cleaner, which is pretty cool. And this is from Japan. And anyway, all these details are on my YouTube channel. In the description, I put specifically the materials and where I buy them and things like that. Details. But in case you want to check some of these things out, that's where you can go. I'm also using the mediums that I just mentioned, and I'm going to create some space here for this. It's a little crowded. I use these different types of mediums. I use 2 different types of mediums. This is a high gloss varnish. It's a polymer acrylic medium. It's good for glazing, and glazing is what you use, with acrylics, with gouaches, and it's a way to really, kind of thin the paint and provide the viscosity and kind of thin it out, and so you can create those layers and do your layering and blending and really bring in all the different kind of special effects, I like to think of it as, and it is a medium, so it helps the paint move around freely. This is a matte medium, so this one does not have a glossy sheen. The one I just showed you is a gloss, and also can be used as a final varnish, so it can seal your painting after all the elements are dry. The pigment powders, which I'll show you next, are dry. Everything is dried up. There's no wet areas. You can go ahead and seal your painting with a varnish, a paint on varnish, something that you can also spray varnish. I don't do that inside, but that is something I do sometimes. So I would use like a wide sponge tool, and just brush, apply an even coat of the glossy varnish to the outside of this painting, the painting itself, and the edges. I do paint the edges. Let me show you. So I do paint the edges of all my paintings. This is just the first pass, or in other words, layer or coat. I will definitely be doing another coat on that edge there. I like to really finish a painting, and all artists work differently. All artists address the sides or the edges of their paintings differently. I like to paint mine So some people, and I have done this myself, is paint a dark color like a black, or a very dark brown, or dark shade of the predominant color of the painting on the edges, and then everything gets varnished, so it's sealed and protected. What that does is when you varnish, you protect your painting, and you really give it that kind of that insurance policy that it's going to actually fade less with repeated exposure to sunlight. So perfect that you're painting a butterfly, I know. Yeah, so varnishes are really key. And then I'm also using these pigment powders. Now, these pigment powders also can be found in online stores. I use them in most of my artwork. And they're by a company called Jacquard. They're called Pearl X. They are in the description of my YouTube videos. I pulled these colors today, so I'll hold them up. There's a few colors. There's a couple golds. There's a pinkish gold called pink gold. There is gray lavender, and then I also have a mink. This is called mink. It's kind of like a brownish, purplish plum with a little bit of a green interference or iridescence. And because butterflies are super iridescent, I like to use a lot of the iridescent or interference powders. And yes, this is Earth Day, so I am dedicating this entire live broadcast to Earth Day, and may Earth Day be every day. So that's my prayer. And then I have brushes. I have a pretty good selection of brushes. And hi, Lexi. Welcome over on Instagram. Thank you for joining me today. So I have some brushes, different widths and thicknesses and different kinds of bristles. Some are different shapes of brushes. There's square ends, round. There's small, large, filberts, chisel, all sorts of brushes. And I do have a video in my YouTube channel all about brushes, and you can check that out, or just Google. But I highly recommend that you check out my tools of the trade video on brushes. Brushes are a really, really big topic. There's so many types of brushes. There's even these fan brushes. So these are pretty awesome. But it's nice to have a good selection and a lot of them, as many as you want. These are really cool ones I got. They're kind of like calligraphy, like sumi-e, or Chinese calligraphy brushes. Anyway, and I have a water container, and I always have paper towels because I use them a lot. And I wipe the brushes off, I get them dry with them, and I use these kind of paper towels. They're pretty thick. And I think that's about it. So what I'm going to do now that you've seen what I'm using, and so I'm going to go ahead and draw in more of I'm going to put this down a little bit. I'm going to draw a little bit more of my butterfly onto the surface of the butterfly, okay? The canvas, I mean. And I'm just looking at my source image to give me a little bit more information. And I just drew in a line. And so when I draw, when I initially draw something, I just get the basic shape in. Oh, hi, Nick. Okay, got it. Hi, Nick. Nick, you mean Svetlana's son? I think so, in Australia. I think that's you. Okay. So I initially do an outline, right? Just to get the basic shape in. And then I go in for the details. And like I was talking about earlier, I'm using this white pencil because I am working on a pre-existing background that I painted. And I'm using my finger with water to erase the pencil lines that I don't want to use anymore. Or I don't want to see. So this is like my eraser, okay? And then I'm going to put some of the details now of this butterfly, not all of them, but a few. And there are a lot of details on this wing. It does have legs that come up, and the legs come up into the wing. This is a side view or a profile view. And it goes right on up, and then it comes here. So oops. These are really, really soft pencils, so I'm already having to sharpen it. And it looks like it's time for me to get a new one of these. These pencils are so important to me. I mean, you could use a plain white colored pencil like a Prisma, but what I find is when you're working on some thicker layers with texture of paint and mixed media, that it really depends on the brand. But I need a soft white pencil, and that's why I'm using this one, the Stabilo. But it does break pretty easily. So it just depends on the quality and the brand and the composition, the formula of that particular colored pencil. Anyway, so these are really soft. I pressed pretty hard. I need the soft pencil to get the lines to show. If it was a harder colored pencil, I wouldn't even be able to get any of the pigment down. Oh, great. Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Welcome. Nice to meet you. So your dad's my cousin. That's so cool. So I have cousins in Australia, and they are joining us live over on Instagram. It's so nice to connect with friends and family here. It's so great to see you. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I like to use the white colored pencil, and I do love colored pencils. I have two sets that I work with. One's by a company called Kohinoor, and they're woodless pencils. They're pure color. Yeah, look at this effect. Look at the white. See what it does? So just to hold up and show you, I'm adding these lines in here. But I also have a set of Prismacolors. Those are a very well-known brand of colored pencils, and I have those too. And they're a little too hard for this. So these are the company's called Stabilo, and write that down. Yes, ask for it. Yes, and I get them. I know you're in Australia, so you have different companies than we do here, but you can get them online. Usually, just look for it. You can search it, or if you have a local store that you like to support. Anyway, yeah, Stabilo is the company. I think they're made in Japan. A lot of the really nice art supplies are made in Japan, made in Europe, made in Germany. I know that these paints that I love are also Japanese, and they're quite fabulous, but they are distributed through an American company I use. So you're close to Asia, and so I know that you can get a lot of the great stuff from Asia down there. I'm sure you can get things from Japan pretty easily down in Australia. So anyway, I'm working on my the legs now, and this. Okay, right. So I was showing you can erase using a little bit of paper towel and your finger too. So I don't have to dry. So I'll leave that alone while it dries. It's getting really hot here, not hot like South Florida hot. But we have our first kind of warm weather for Southern California, the desert here in Los Angeles. And it's starting to heat up. So that is actually good for art making, because then I can things get dry pretty quickly. So I'm just drawing in my legs on this butterfly. Oh, there we go. So it comes up like this, and then it goes down. Okay, I have to really. Yeah, so the paint is drying very quickly, and it's a really nice time to be painting acrylics and other water-based paints that dry so quickly, because they dry fast. Okay, so here it goes. That's my leg, and I'll show you. And the leg actually has a notch in it. It has a joint. So that joint's going to come down there like this. Okay, so when you get your pencils, Nick, just so you know, they are very soft. I keep breaking the tip because I'm pressing pretty hard. So either buy two at the same time or be really careful. And you want to use a nice little sharpener like this. not an electric sharpener. I think that it's gonna not work. Maybe, but you have to just really take care of these guys. Okay, so here's my legs, and then I have kind of a leaf. Actually, I have like a leaf because this butterfly is eating. So it has the flora. It's going to be eating on a leaf. And then there's the antenna, and they come out in a very interesting angle. I'm going to hold this up and show you what I'm doing in a second. Oh, that antenna was drawn strange the first time. So I'm just refining my drawing. I thought it would be nice for you to see how I do that. And I'm putting more of the details in. And of course, when I paint it, it's going to look, it's going to completely start to change with color naturally. But I'm drawing in some of the lines, the striations, and the different parts of the butterfly wing. There's a lot of markings on the butterfly. There's all these awesome shapes, and they're so beautiful. It's all happening naturally. So I'm just putting in some of these details now. Let's see, there's shape. I'm putting in the most obvious shapes, of each of the wing sections. And I'll hold it up and show you. And it has a head too. It actually has a body and a head. So I originally made the head a little small. Okay, I'll hold up what I have. That it's drawing a little bit because I have my adjustments. So see, here's the legs, here's the leaf. You can see that. And then the body I'm going to put in, that's one antenna. And then I have this side profile of the butterfly coming. It's starting to come together. And if you know my work, you know I use a hair dryer quite a bit. So I use one of these small travel hair dryers. They're really nice if you, whether or not you have you're working in the sun and you have that natural heat. They're nice to really dry in between layers, especially putting the background in. I use it because I put so many elements, liquids, polymers, mediums, powders, paint. It really, sometimes those mixed media backgrounds really need a little bit of help with the hairdryer. So I use a hairdryer. I have it here. It's one that I keep designated for art. It's a little travel one. They're pretty easily found. So yeah, this is getting small. So I recommend a hairdryer in your art studio, depending on, I mean, I would say mostly for water-based paints. I don't know about oil, but I use water-based paint. So acrylic, acrylic gouache, watercolor, things like that. Okay. Ooh, I'm almost at this guy is almost a goner. So I have to order new one of these myself. So I'm going to put, now that this is a little dry, I'm going to put the head in. The head kind of comes out where these two, here it is, where the two wings meet. Here it is, where the two wings meet. Okay, and it comes down to where the body comes down to where those two legs. Okay, and then this one other antenna goes like kind of weird. It goes meow. And I'm going to show you what I just did. Okay, there's that. And then so the body is there. And then we have our butterfly. Okay, so I'm going to stop about there. I'm going to start to put some color. And, you know, this could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So what I'm going to do is just imply a few of these markings and check in with you. How are you doing? Okay. Oh, it looks like the live chat in YouTube conked out. Oh, well, that's okay. Looks like we're good over in Instagram, though. Cheers. Asante to your health. Yeah, this happened a couple of weeks ago. The live chat was Lame. Wasn't working. Okay. Now color. Now for the color, like I said, okay, so what I'm doing, what I did on this one behind me, this finished monarch up there, is I'm using colors that contrast and that are opposite and complementary to the color of the background. Oh, all good here. Awesome. So what I'm doing is, you know about the color wheel. Here is the little color wheel I use. Also, I use the one behind me here, but this is like a store-bought one. And these are really nice to have in your studio to do your color schemes. Now I have this background. It's kind of like a greens, beautiful emerald greens. There's like some turquoise green. There's some light green, some mint green. There's a whole range. So what I like to do is to have the butterfly or the subject pop off the background. I like to use complementary colors. So here's what I have. These are all codes, so I'm not going to read them to you, but I just go straight across from the point where my art is, the color where my art is, and I just see what's opposite of that, what's directly across from those colors. And I'm coming up with some nice pinks and oranges, and so you can move this little thing, slides around. So I'm about in this range, and I have some nice pinks and warm like peaches and a little bit of these purples, and that's why I chose to go with this color called mink and the rose gold and like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix a little bit of paint and start to put in my color. And as you know, I'm not going to finish today. It's going to be step by step, and I'll continue next week. But I'm going to pick my colors from this selection here. And I'm going to be mixing and then mixing in some of my Pearl X powders, right? And the gel, the liquid medium. So what I'm going to do is, what did I say? Okay. So I'm going to use this orange. This is called Permanent Scarlet. I'm going to use a yellow. It's not really an orange. This is kind of a bright red, orange red. I'm going to use two different yellows, a permanent yellow deep, and I believe this is lemon. Yeah. So a cool and a warm yellow. This is a warm red and a little bit of white. Okay, that's it. That's what I'm using. And then I'm going to put this to the side. So I'm going to mix a little bit of the color now with my palette knife. I hope it ended up here. Yeah, I use this little tiny palette knife too. It's a very small little shape at the end. I like it. It's good for small palettes. And I'm also going to bring in the powders and the gel medium. So I'm going to put a little bit of red down, squeeze that up, a little bit of white off in this little section here. And I'll hold it up and show you. A little bit of the... No, I'm not using the lemon yellow. I'm not using that. I'm going to use the warm yellow. And I use that cool red, so that's enough cool. I'm just going to stop right there. And I'm going to make an orange. So I'm going to put these two together, make a nice orange. Okay, so this is what I have. And then I'm going to bring in this white and just have a little bit of that tint there. That's nice. And then I'm going to bring in the medium. Okay, I'm using matte medium to start. And this is going to add viscosity. It's going to stretch out the life of the paint. It's going to keep the paint open because acrylics dry pretty quickly, and this keeps the system open so I can go in and work with it. Okay, and I'm going to use a little bit of my powders now. No, I'm not. I'm just going to start with that. I'm going to get a small brush. And I'm going to go back to the picture I was really working from. This book is so amazing. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. Ah! Okay, I was gonna go to this guy. And instead of the white, I'm going to use a different color. But I'm working with this image right now, right here. And I'm just gonna put the orange, I'm kind of fusing the two different butterfly images together. So I'm gonna use a small brush to go in and start painting my, I'm gonna use a round brush, which does need to be dried. Okay, so I'm gonna go in here and put in some of this color. Okay, I don't know if you, oh, you can't see that, can you? Put in some of this color. Okay, I don't know if you, oh, you can't see that, can you? So here, that's what I'm doing here. I'm gonna move back a little bit. Hello, welcome. So I think that's Michelle. Hey, Michelle. Nice to see you. How cool is this? So this is so fun. I just love it. Okay. Yeah, so I'm bringing in this orange to start. And, you know, this background is so beautiful. That's why I'm not going to go cover everything right now. I'm essentially what I do, right, is I start with the source image, and then I leave. I go off from there. I use it to kind of, it gets me inspired. It's like, okay, here's where I'm going to start, but it's not where I'm going to end. It's really part of the journey. In a way, it's like now I'm kind of creating my own butterfly breed or my own variety, because this is not even a monarch butterfly. It's just sort of my own invention, which is cool because as an artist, you have artistic license and you can change things. So this is what I have so far. I'll hold it up for you. And see how nice that orange and green kind of goes. I mean, this is just the first pass, the first layer. And I thought I'd stay on today till about 55 minutes past the hour here in California. That's about 3:55 Pacific time. And I would, you know, just work with what I can in this time period, visit with you, and then maybe work a little bit in between now and next week, but then I'll be back next week with the next live. So if you're viewing in YouTube, please, I invite you to subscribe. You can actually bookmark. I post the video as like a scheduled video, and you can subscribe and be reminded, or just kind of know and be connected there. And for Instagram, I always like post reminders in my stories, and I also do a post the day of. And I have a little visitor, a little guest. This is Moo Moo. Hi, Moo Moo. You want to say hi? Come here. No, to me. Come. She's looking around. Come up. Say hi. Come here, you girl. You want to say hi to Moo Moo? Christina's here. All of our friends are here. You want to come up and say hi? Come up. Look how cute she is. Oh, look. Oh, this is Moo Moo. Yeah, she's a good girl. What a sweet pea. Yeah, we're so happy the sun's coming out. We can go out and have a walk. We can't do our normal walks like, you know, as we're all used to doing some lovely trail walks, but we're getting out, and, you know, today we're going to do something different. But yeah, I'm just basically starting on the first pass here. And like I was saying, I'm making it up as I go. I am going to use my lines as a guideline, but it's not fixed. It's not like strict, or, you know, there's a lot of freedom is what I'm saying. And the way I work is very intuitively. And also, you know, I let the painting start to dictate and tell me, like, it has its own life, its own soul, and it's going to tell me where to put down lay this color down. So I'm going to leave the white lines there. I am probably going to outline them in black later. But this is just the first pass, and there are a lot more details to put. I know there's more shapes to draw in, so I'm just going to start with what I have today here. and start to maybe put some of my powders in. That would be kind of fun to share with you today. Yeah, she's a cutie. Mumu, your family in Australia says hi. Yeah, she's a real cutie, and she's waiting for me to take her out. So, I mean, that will happen later, but we are gonna have a nice walk and get outside and breathe some fresh air. So, I just right now I just added a little bit of this gel acrylic, not gel, but this liquid medium. It's like gel. It's polymer. It's a plastic, and it's high gloss varnish. I love it. It's probably my favorite go-to for a lot of my work. Even though it's a varnish, I use it as a medium. That's just something I started doing a long time ago. It's just, there's products and they're specified for certain things, but I like to experiment and see what'll happen if I use it for something else. So I started to use this varnish to apply my pigment powders, and I really like the results that you get with it. It is different than the matte. It is shiny. It has a nice sheen. It has a nice gloss, and it's a little thinner. It's a little thinner than the matte medium. It has a little bit more viscosity or transparency, I should say. Okay, so right now I need this to dry a little bit. And so I thought I would take this opportunity to hold it up and show you. I'm going to get my brush rinsed out. I'm going to show you. I'm just putting down the first layer. Okay, and I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to show you a little bit, start to place in my pigment powders. And I'm going to use this color. It is a gold. It is called Brilliant Gold. And I'm going to tap a little bit out into the gel medium. I am going to use a brush to do that. Just bring a little bit out. And it's because this is actually quite precious. It's not real gold. It's mica powder. It's from the earth. So thank you, Mother Earth, for this. But if you just pour it, the whole jar can come out. And that is it's quite a mess, actually. And yeah, so you don't want to waste it. But yeah, it's look how gorgeous this is. Look at this. See that? It's like a super nice gold. So what I'm doing with it is I'm going to go right on top. Look at that. Right on top of that orange, and it's going to mix with the orange. And I'll hold it up and show you. Now I work in layers. I work in phases and in stages and in blending and layering and building. Really, I think the theme is to build. So this is much more than a glitter. This is not glitter paint. This is a whole nother level. It's, almost like making your own paint with the gel, the varnish, the acrylic varnish, and these pigment powders. Because if as you know, early cave art, early artists, early prehistoric painting was all done with natural minerals, gypsum, charcoal, natural elements, sticks, things that will leave a mark on the wall. There was no paper. I mean, we're going back. So places like Elmira in Spain, Lascaux in France, these they used natural pigments, wild pigments, natural plants that make colors, and many plants do. So I'm going to hold up what I'm doing. So anyway, this is in a bottle. You can actually forage and find your own mineral pigments out there. That's a whole nother story, but that's a very forage your own paint. It's possible, and there's a lot of people that do it, and I love that, and I love homemade paints, and that's why I love working with pigment powders. I do buy them right now. I mean, these are all store-bought. So I'm going to show you what I've started to do here, and this is just one pass. This is not the end-all be-all, believe me. This is going to build up over time. And butterflies, they have natural, that's how butterflies have their iridescence, this is all from nature. I mean, there's no commercial or this is not man-made or interference from man. Everything on a butterfly's wings is natural and organic and beautiful. So this is what I have. See how there's that beautiful sheen, that gorgeous, let me see that, it's gorgeous, huh? So I'm just starting to build up my texture and build up the layers and build up the colors and put in blocks of color. And one thing I really love to do, and I'm not going to do it at the moment because we're going to sign off pretty soon, but is I showed this in my background episode, my background video. When I made this background, I actually pour the powders directly on the canvas, and I mix paints on the canvas, and I optically make a huge mess. If you look at on Instagram, I posted it as an IGTV video maybe a week ago. And then last week on YouTube, I have it. My hands were completely covered in green. I used a brush, but I tilt it. I do all sorts of things to create a mixed media, interesting textured background. And a lot of like all of this marbling and all of these cool areas of this background is all made with pigment powders and some of the things I'm showing you today. The high gloss varnish, liquid, the pigment powders, some of the acrylic gouache paint. So lots of things are happening here, and I like to think of it as alchemy or magic making, because it is magic. I mean, to me, this is magic. Creativity is magic, and I love it. I love to experiment and see what's going to happen with different combinations of things. So anyway, just some things to think about in your own practice, to really get outside, think outside the box and like experiment and play around with different materials that are, maybe designated for one thing, but you say, hey, I'm going to pull that over into this, or that's why I like mixed media a lot, because you can really blend. We're going to experiment this afternoon. You're welcome. I'm so glad to hear that. So I love hearing that you're just going to jump right in and do something crazy. In other words, something fun and weird and different, and just, go for it. The worst that can happen is that you don't like it, right? And if you don't like it, you can change it. I like to call them happy accidents. This happens all the time here. So there are no mistakes, and they're all just happy accidents. And I'm so glad that you have something to do. I know it's daytime in Australia. It's the morning. And so that's so nice to hear. You're going to take this into your day. I'm going to add a little bit of white now. And so I'm just building layers. I'm making a little bit of a mess over on my palette. It's going to be hard for me to lift it up right now because things will drip, and I don't want that to happen necessarily at the moment. But I'm just so glad that you were with me here today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to stay on a little bit longer. I will be signing off Instagram before the 1 hour mark. This will instantly become, this live stream will become an IGTV over there. I'll watch their countdown and end the video there first, and I'll stay on YouTube a little bit longer and just continue to paint here, and the live this replay will be available later. And so I encourage you to come back and join me again, and I'd love to see what you're working on. You can join the Instagram. I think you can join the live stream if you feel like it. There's a way that people do that where you have more than one person. So I think you say join or something like that. So think about doing that, and you can show me what you worked on. And here in my YouTube channel, I invite you to post any pictures or comments, or I'd love to know what you're working on. I know that the live chat conked out, but I really just want to encourage you to stay in touch and stay creative. And I think creativity is wonderful, and positive response. It's a positive response. The other word would be reaction, but let's stick with response. It's a positive way to respond to the current situation. And if you're home, well, then if you've always wanted to learn how to do whatever, mixed media or whatever you are doing at home, and something that you wanted to try, this is the perfect opportunity. And creativity is always adding something positive to the collective. So positive vibes and positive energy, and I would really love to know what you're working on and what you're doing, and that's really why I have these lives happening, so we can communicate and share together. And so thank you so much. I'm so glad that you made the time to be with me today. Yeah, I'd love to see what you're working on. So hopefully it can dry a little bit. And I want to show you, I'm not going to run the hair dryer because it's super loud, but I think I'm at a point where it's not going to drip because it's pretty warm here. So this is where I am right now. We will show you our progress. Lovely, wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. Yay. This is reminding me of a bird of paradise, a tropical bird. But can you see the butterfly? She's coming together. There's gonna be a lot more steps here, but yeah, that's what I have so far. And thank you so much over on Instagram. I think soon I will be ending that broadcast, that stream. I'm going to stay here and work on this this wing a little bit. Thank you. Thanks, Svetlana. And yeah, this is so awesome. I can't even tell you. So please give a big hug to Ronnie. And that's how I know him. And cousin Ronnie down. Where are you? Are you in Canberra, or where are you? What part of Australia? Anyway, you can tell me later. But isn't this awesome that we can do this live? And here we are, connected. Yeah, so that's gonna, yes, thank you. Okay, so there's lots, yes, there's lots of beautiful places, but how awesome. Yeah, so we're almost about an hour. Wonderful. I'm gonna make sure I end this properly before. So thank you for joining me here on Instagram. I'm gonna sign off. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night, wherever you are. And thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the studio next time. Bye, thank you. I'm so glad. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Hello. So I'm just setting this up here. It's pretty funny. I've never done this before. This is hilarious. Okay. I'm gonna do this later. This is too much. Okay. Okay, you guys. So here we are. Yeah. How are you feeling? I wish I could communicate with you. I know the live chat isn't working, but I thought I would just do a couple more things here, and would love to connect with you again. I hope that you can join me next Wednesday, same time, same place. This is 3 p.m. PT that we meet. Yeah, let's see. I'll just do a little bit more. See, my water's getting kind of gunky. It's time to actually wash my brushes and properly get those cleaned out in that water there. But put a little bit more of this dark orange here. It's nice to use up the paint that you have on your palette. And thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Oh, wow. I do need to draw a little bit more, and that's why I'm thinking I might just, okay, I'm going to put this part into the body here, and then I'll show you what I've done. But I'm probably going to end here for the day. It is nice that it's warm out. It's actually drying pretty quickly. but it really needs to be, I need to draw on it and be able to put my hands on it, and that I can't do right now. So I think I'm going to stop right there and just hold up what I have. And so, and if you'd like, you can hang out over on Instagram with me anytime. Follow my account. I put the handle. It's at Lórien Eck, LORIENECK. I post there all the time, but I'm live streaming from there as well at the same time, simultaneously. But I love that you're here. Thank you so much for joining me in my home studio, Waterfront Studios. And